So we're going to jump back into Jarnail Singh's testimony to the Post Office inquiry, and after his very emotive language email is rejected by the Public Relations Department, a very extensive summary, as you can see on the screen, of Mrs. Misra's case is provided by Jarnail Singh. But whilst he does admit, again, it's something that's sent in his name, he does admit that it doesn't sound like his style because there's not a lot of spelling and grammar errors, as well as the fact of it's not in his usual way of putting things, shall we say. He does say there would have been lots of contributions to it, and interestingly, when asked why he didn't make it clear that it was a summary provided with lots of people, he said that probably someone with Jason Beer's wisdom and experience would do that. Let's jump into the inquiry.
Can we go to what your reply was to Sophie's suggestion that your paragraph was too emotive to use and ask for a factual account instead? Page 1 of this email chain. And then if we scroll down, your email back to her, to Sophie, with other people copied in, including Chris Oyard, you say, Sophie, Mrs. Misra continues to protect her innocence via the media. The summary below shows that there was ample evidence to justify a conviction. And if you just look at the document, paragraphs 1, 2, and 3, and then if we go over the page and then just scroll through it, please. And scroll through it, and scroll through it, and keep going, 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 keep going, and then you sign it off, hope it helps. First of all, who actually drafted this email?
Various people. I mean, there's various people involved in drafting it. It's not just, it was...
It appears to contain no spelling mistakes or missing words, which, if you'll forgive me for saying, is your normal way of writing, i.e. with spelling mistakes and missing words. And it doesn't appear to be in your style of writing.
I can't help you on that. I don't know. But it's such a long time ago. I mean, I have no idea. But there are, it's a teamwork. It's not one individual to put it all together. And the other thing is, I'm not a good typist, as you probably worked out. Used to dictating work, and it probably gone to somebody to have it typed for me to approve with the few others.
And we look at some of the other contents to see whether it helps you. Page 4, paragraph 18, please. And if we scroll down. The author says, the 2 criminal files I looked at are of some significance. Joe Hamilton and Noel Thomas have been prominent critics of Horizon in the media. Their cases were similar to Mrs. Misra's. Both were sub-postmasters who chose to hide deficiencies by false accounting over a long period of time rather than declare their losses, etc. Is that something that you did? Look at the criminal files of Joe Hamilton and Noel Thomas?
No.
So this tends to suggest it is somebody else who's writing it?
Possibly, yeah. To be honest, now that you mention it, you've got the time to analyse it, scrutinise it, but at that time, it was difficult. I mean, to do what I did for an individual, it was next to impossible. So you had people assisting, helping, putting stuff together. You're right that, but certainly Joe Hamilton case, Noel Thomas case, I've never dealt with them. I don't know.
Could we go to page 5, paragraph 20, please?
It's fine having somebody else to help you draft it, but if they're drafting something saying I, as in the writer, as in you, who is sending the email, is doing something that you're not, you've got to edit it and review it. I mean, they said I didn't have enough time to do it. You're basically saying I didn't have enough time to do my job properly, so I did it improperly. Well, that's not a good enough reason.
Your email says, Horizon is a complicated computer system about which even eminent experts can make mistakes. There was no reason to doubt Professor McLachen's expertise and good faith, but time and time again he had to be corrected by Mr. Jenkins. Professor McLachen is not the only expert to have misunderstood Horizon. I have spoken to colleagues who prosecute these cases, and they have come across other experts who have also fallen into error. I can say that both sides in Misra were completely beholden to Gareth Jenkins and his deep knowledge of Horizon. Again, is that you speaking there? I have spoken to colleagues.
Possibly not.
Or is it somebody else?
I have, my job was enjoyable because I was talking to a lot of people. I was gaining a lot out of it. It was stretching. It was complicated. But that's the sort of thing I enjoy. So it was enjoyable in that sense. But I can't say to you that certainly, that more or less goes back to the fact that there's a number of people involved in assisting and advising and putting these sort of things together.
So this might be you actually writing this?
No, I don't. Maybe a contribution towards it. There's a lot of people making contributions towards these things.
At the moment, Mr. Singh, I'm just trying to work out, by taking you to bits of this email, to help you to work out whether this is your work or whether you've cut and pasted something else that somebody else has said and repurposed it for yourself.
Well, as you know, I mean, when you do this work, you obviously do have help. And certainly I had a lot of help over that period because it was
I'm asking about something different, which is cutting and pasting somebody else's work.
Yes,
and passing it off as your own.
I think you will get a lot of that everywhere, and certainly the work I deal with, that was the only way I could cope with it and deal with it, and I did, and that probably...
That's plagiarism for a start, but in any case, if you cut and paste it or you get somebody else to do it and then you sign it off yourself, it's like approving it, saying what this says is actually the truth. And if it uses I in your own email, then of course people are going to determine that actually it was you who is saying that you've done that. If not, then it's not factually correct. And if your workload's an issue, then actually you need to decide what kind of priorities you're putting on things, because just saying I had so much work and I was sending things out willy-nilly and I don't even really know what we're saying doesn't really inspire much confidence in the post office's process or the criminal law team's processes at that time.
There was a paragraph or somewhere, or probably a lot more of the paragraph, or maybe quite a few from it, and maybe I asked somebody, look, the Misra case, can you help me? Can you highlight or bullet point the lessons we learned from the Misra case? Yes.
Which other lawyers, other than you and Warwick Tatford, were involved in the Seema Misra case?
I think Rob Wilson, Juliet McFarland, maybe Debbie, I don't know, what was, she's changed her name now, hasn't she?
Debbie
Staples. I don't know. Certainly maybe somebody else from Belliard, certainly the two legal executives, the investigation officer, you name it. It was a big team because it was just unmanageable. I mean, the post was so vast. To deal with it as a one individual.
I'm looking at potential authors because the person.
I've given you they're giving you basically
But you were happy to put your name to this and say you own this email and the contents of it.
Well, I was happy.
Weren't you?
Well, I was happy to put my name to it purely because a lot of it, from again the Misra case, I didn't go to court for 7 days. I think I started it off. Certainly, I had a lot of counsel's opinions and views and advices on it, as you know. But certainly...
But Mr. Singh, you wouldn't write an email with all of this content unless you were happy with the content, would you?
Well, like I said to you, these things work purely because not for one individual. Somebody's got to put their name to it. It wasn't me, it would have been somebody else.
But in that case, you would say at the beginning, this is a summary with multiple contributions. I, Jarnail Singh, can't vouch for everything.
Sir, you would do because you're just a wise and experienced practitioner. But when you come to...
Did you lack experience?
To my level.
And lack wisdom?
No, to my level, it's different.
Sorry?
It's a different level. It's a different degrees of work. I mean, certainly, if I was doing it now, then I probably would have done. But that time, there is pressure of time, and there's other matters to be dealt with. People wanted these sort of advices, these sort of prompters yesterday, not today, not in 7 days' time, not 14 days' time. So what you do, or what I did, was to get help and put something together to pass it on.